Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
Got any work need done on your roof? You know those heavy thunderstorms are not that far away. They're going to be pounding away at your roof. If you're like, listen, we got a little bit of a problem. We've noticed a little bit of a leak up there on that ceiling. Get it repaired. Easton Roofing, one of the roofing companies that will actually do repairs. There aren't many. In fact, I don't know of any other. Easton Roofing has been up and repaired my roof and found a lot of problems before they became big problems. Called Joe and his squad at 913-257-5426. Project manager on every site. Commercial and residential roofing. 4 straight years. Voted Best of Houses winner. Angie's List Super Service Award winner as well. Great reviews on Google. You can check those out. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Credit cards and PayPal are accepted. Go see Joe and his team online right now at eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing, integrity matters. Danny Clinkscale joins us. And Danny, I know you're a soccer fan.
I am indeed.
To celebrate the start of the 2020 MLS season in style, fans of all ages are welcome to join Sporting Kansas City for the first kick party. It's going on tomorrow, Saturday, at the Corinth Square in Prairie Village. That's 8221 Corinth Mall in Prairie Village, Kansas, a spot where I spent a lot of my youth. That was a lunch spot when I was in high school, whatever the different areas were there. The Hen House was one of our lunch spots when I went to a high school just down the street, serving as a great lead-up to the opener, the Whitecaps, tomorrow night, 9:30. You can catch that. The first kick party features interactive and family-friendly activities, food, beverage tents from First Watch and BRGR, specials at multiple Corinth Square shops, sporting-style merchandise, FIFA 20 inside, no other bus, presented by Security Bank, and a free youth soccer clinic for Sporting Stars and Stripes, Sporting Stars and Sporting Stripes, presented by Blue KC. Admission to the first kick party, free and open to the public. That's the kind of admission you like, Danny.
Free as me.
Programming begins at 1 and will culminate with the watch party inside Johnny's Tavern at Corinth Square, right there at 8262 Mission Road. And if you want, be caller 8 right now for a chance to win a VIP watch party experience and BRGR for you and 5 friends with $50 food and beverage tab right now, 913-381-810. Caller number 8, you can win the VIP watch party experience at BRGR for you and 5 friends with $50 food and beverage tab. So good luck to you. Happy dialing. Danny, how are you, my friend?
Doing just fine. Very busy day.
Really?
The day will continue. Just posted a new podcast. Did a podcast with Tamara Day, the star of Bargain Mansions on HGTV.
Yeah, that's filmed all around here.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah,
that's at DannyClinkscale.com for the uninitiated.
It is, indeed. And she was a very charming lady. She'll be at the Home Show next month. I got that plug in from my wife, who does work with the Home Show. So.
There you go.
But she got a great story, really a tremendous and hardworking person who has just found success at multiple levels, just opened a new store, and that's where we did the recording today, so that was fun. And just enjoying that, going to an event with Joe Spiker from Easton Roofing.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, fundraiser for his elementary school.
Very
for his
nice.
Kids. Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
I understand a little card action.
Yeah, sure. It's just you pay an entry fee and you either win or lose. So I mean,
so you're gonna shove every hand, all in.
Maybe.
Okay. Let me know how it works. Let me know how it goes.
I'm not. I like playing poker, and we played a lot of poker when I was young in college. A misspent.
But did you play it well?
I played pretty well, but we just played standard old games, and I don't like Texas Hold'em very much. And that's what everybody plays now in poker tournaments, and I'm not the biggest fan of the game itself.
Okay.
So
Thanks for filling us in.
But I enjoy playing
Sure,
cards.
Joe's going to have a great time with you. Yeah, the game really kind of sucks.
Pocket aces.
Can we play canasta?
I just like. Actually, I like when you're getting your cards. That's kind
5-card draw or 7-card stud.
7-card stud. The games like that. I don't dislike it. I like cards in general, but it's not. It's just all of a sudden it's all anybody plays in important tournaments. Why do you think that is?
Because it creates the most action. The games you're talking about are more sitters games, and
Also, you're dealing less cards. It moves along faster, because you're not dealing to everybody.
Because everybody's playing, not all the same cards, right? So you're gonna play 5. So 60% of the cards are the same, and of the 7 cards, 5 of 7, whatever percentage that is, are out on the table. Everybody is in the neighborhood of each other because you're playing common cards. So it generates more action.
Okay, I'll buy that. That's why I went to you. The card expert.
I'm not a card expert. I know card experts. I used to think I was a card expert. Then I met card experts. And I went, okay, I know enough just to sound good on the radio. That's it. That's all I know. Danny, let's begin where? I'll let you begin. KU State we haven't gotten to yet. The rematch of the brawl to settle it all. The war at the shore of the Kaw. What we can start there.
It's hard to really.
I know you're a combine nut.
Yeah,
you can't get enough of the 3-cone drill.
The shuttle run. Ooh.
Those two topics are hard.
Why the
to
Chiefs
sell.
are screwing Chris Jones?
That's a more interesting topic.
When is that greedy SOB Patrick Mahomes gonna take the pay cut he should so that this team can finally win something around here? Royals pitching.
You should just live off his endorsements.
I think where would you like to begin?
I think
Dan?
the most interesting thing about the Chiefs is that I said it and it just didn't happen. The Chiefs fans really moved on pretty. Yeah, sure, they loved winning the championship, and they're still basking in the glow. I'm not saying
yes.
They're not.
Well, I was asked at lunch today. Todd Lebo and I were asked at lunch today by an old friend, Doug, friend of the station.
Mm-hmm.
How about that Super Bowl?
Yeah, because I think that so many people have
2 months ago. How about that Super Bowl?
Quickly moved,
or a month ago, I guess.
Quickly moved on to what the future of the team is and when the next big thing is going to happen. I think they should have let it breathe a little bit. I said that the next day on a podcast I did. I said,
they're not allowed
how about
to.
a 30-day moratorium on talking about contracts and everything else? Just go wee every morning.
But they're not allowed to.
I do.
Because the league has created something virtually every month of the year except
true.
for like June, right? Is it like mid-June to mid-July?
They're allowed. They can ignore it. They
Between
can
mandatory
ignore
mini
it.
camps and training camp. There's
between
nothing.
mandatory minicamp and training camp is the only time there's
about
nothing going on.
6 weeks.
Otherwise, we roll right into, Senior Bowl is there before the Super Bowl, and then right after the Super Bowl, we start right up with the Combine and
But that doesn't mean
draft,
you have
free
to
agency
really
dates.
wallow in the Combine. You don't have to do that. You can just I do find it refreshing that I see people still driving around and sporting their game day flags on their cars, and that's great. But that's more of that, and less about, I think you're being too hard on Chris Jones, and the guy wants his money. If you're asking me what I think Chris Jones wants to get paid. This happens a lot for Super Bowl. This is the dirty reality of Super Bowl championships. That these players are in the game to make money, okay? Sure, they want to win. Now all these Chiefs players, all the guys that they've won a championship, that they want to get paid. So I think it's going to be hard to sign Chris Jones.
Well, the old baseball adage that I've been told by many baseball people is that when it comes to players, number one, they want to get to the big leagues. Number two, they want to stay in the big leagues. Number three, they want to get paid in the big leagues. And then number four is they want to win.
Right.
So Chris Jones got to win before he got paid. If that adage applies to football, and I think it really probably does, you want to get to the NFL, you want to stay in the NFL. It's easier to stay in the NFL once you get there than baseball because they don't have a ready-made minor league. So if they're invested in you, they're stuck with you for a little while till you prove you can't play. But the getting paid is part of it. And
right, and I think it becomes even that much more imperative in your world if you've already won. You're not even. How many guys have played on a Super Bowl champion and then gone and signed with a team that you're almost sure they're not going to have success on the field. The guy will sign a big contract with the Jags or something. You're like, okay, whatever.
Let me you find me the whole clip. Jed rolled his eyes as soon as I said "find me." Went, oh boy,
I yawned.
The whole. What do we have? About 2 minutes.
Yeah, but
minute 53.
Minute 53 with Colin Cowherd. Chris Jones with Colin Cowherd. Did you hear this?
I did.
Okay, let's play it again for those that didn't hear it, so they can hear the tone and tenor of it. Because I'm curious for your reaction, wherever it might be. Chris Jones, whatever. Here's a snippet of Chris Jones with Cowherd yesterday.
A little bit. It's like a mix of emotions because you figure, after 4 years, you do everything the right way, within the team way, and you try to stay under the lines, out of trouble, and be a good citizen for the team and for the city. You expect to be rewarded. So, when you hit with a franchise tag, it can go different ways. You can feel like they're not valuing you or they're not valuing what you bring to the table, or you can look at it as giving them time to get their horses in a cage and get something together.
How do you feel today about it?
I'm mixed emotions. I feel a little bit like every team in this league has the opportunity to franchise a good player, and
You're more
I'm
than
the
a
lucky
good player.
guy. I'm the lucky guy.
Chris, you're the lucky guy. I get it. I mean, I got to be honest with you. If my company franchise tagged me, I'd be like, well, I thought you liked me. I get it.
Yeah.
Lucky.
It's no hard feelings. It's the business.
Yeah, but there's a little hard. It's okay.
It's a little hard.
Yeah.
It's a little hard. It's like, damn, what else y'all want me to do? I got to go out and get 30 sacks, 35 sacks to show y'all I can,
I get it, man.
But the beautiful thing about the franchise tag, it can go one or two ways. The team either long-term you and have you for the future, or they're going to trade you. So
I mean, you're going to get paid either way. You know that.
Way. Yeah, either way. I'll
be nice
I'll
to get
reach
paid
my
when
benefits.
you have Mahomes as a quarterback.
Yeah, it would be nice to get paid in Kansas City and stay with Mahomes and what they're building over there, what we're building. It's exceptional. I feel like we're building a dynasty, and for Brett Veach, it's about looking at the team, analyzing what you can lose and what you have to keep.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, Colin Cowherd was fanboying it in that interview. I don't.
I'm glad you said it.
I don't know what.
I used to know Colin. I wouldn't say I know him now. I used to know him because my producer in Vegas went on to be his producer,
right.
And I used to talk to him on a fairly regular basis. Where's
the edge that he usually has in that interview? That was just pure
like
fanboy.
I mean, to me, there are four, and this is where he's just kind of become the national guy, and I think he's kind of fallen into the Skip Bayless trap of, let me find a guy to beat on. Colin Cowherd beats on Patrick Mahomes, right? Where was him talking about Mahomes? What was it he said earlier this year? All the trick plays. And, how that
circus.
Circus. Called Mahomes a circus. How about asking Chris Jones about how hard it is to play with the circus in town in the same locker room? Like that's what it's like. It's off. We always joke around like when we make a mistake. Well, it's off to Mars now. Well, except for podcast, it's actually there forever.
Right.
But
isn't it ever?
So I wasn't going to waste any time, but I thought that was awful.
Right.
An awful interview.
I
Chris Jones did most of the work for him.
Well,
and he still sucked at what he was doing.
In chronological order, first of all, Chris Jones came across like what's the old Curtis will do it the bit by Chris Rock about you're supposed to stay out of jail.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, I did all these good things in the community, and you feel like if you do that, you're supposed to get paid. Is that the only reason you did it? I mean, that's what it sounded like. It's like." You stay out of trouble, you keep your nose clean. It was like, man, I really wanted to do some carousing, but I want to get paid too. So there was that. Then he said they are building something special there.
That too.
But now that could be just a little slip. I don't know.
Exactly. You just write it down. It's nothing major.
But my general sense is that the man really wants to be paid at the highest level, and and all this hoo-ha about he wants to be here and everything. He was just playing the game. I mean, he basically said, I was playing the game there, and I expected to get paid for doing all that.
Right.
Like saying, I love the community, and I didn't get in trouble, and hey, and I don't begrudge him, but I think that even becomes more of a factor when you've already won.
Isn't it clear that he's not on the same page?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
This is not a negotiation that, by all accounts, based on Brett Veach's comments earlier this week, begins again for the first time since before the season began. Like probably about today. Like he said, we're meeting with his people later this week. So yesterday or today, they got together. And that's not a guy that's,
This isn't an ongoing process.
And listen, he has not been he was not the same guy this year. He was not happy-go-lucky Chris Jones. He got burnt with some comments he made about don't sell your tickets. The Vikings game where some fans took it and I said, listen, you just don't say that. You don't tell fans what to do with their tickets. You go play ball. You're being paid. And by the way, you may not be paid by like Aaron Donald. You still got $2 million, something that 99.9% of your fans would have loved to have taken that check. So don't tell them.
And also, you are going to get a gigantic check if you get franchised.
Right. And I think he's sour because he didn't get the contract he wanted before the year. He just said, well, what do I have to do? Go out there and get 30 or 35? Well, you didn't have 25. You had 9.
Right.
Last year you
didn't
had
have as many
15
as
and
the
a
year
half.
before. Right.
I mean, Justin Houston got 22 and he had the franchise tag put on him. Who the hell are you to act like you're being insulted with the franchise tag being slapped on you? I mean, Houston got 22 and had to go through the franchising process.
Right. I mean, it's all about building a team, and a lot of people have to get paid. And unfortunately for him, one of them that might get paid this offseason doesn't have to is Mahomes.
Well, and that also speaks to the mindset of where he feels. And listen, he's one of their best players, there's no doubt, but he's not the only guy without a deal right now.
Right. Well,
right? Fuller, Breland, they each had interceptions in the Super Bowl. They played a huge role in the team winning it. They don't have contracts right now.
Well, the quarterback doesn't have a contract.
Well,
they could have easily.
He's
going to get
yes,
one.
He does. He does have a contract.
But I mean,
he does.
He doesn't have the contract.
He's got a fourth year.
They're going to,
and they're going to pick up the 5th year. So he doesn't have the mega deal yet. But
right. They haven't extended him yet.
Right, and his negotiation is going to be talked about. And notice he's nowhere to be found. He's not doing radio shows barking around about getting paid.
Well, right, and I think it really serves no purpose for you. Does he think he's? I guess maybe he must think, and his representation must think that they can win the court of public opinion, and that will matter, and that will create pressure. And I don't think they can really create it, but there's a lot of goodwill. I mean, anytime you just discuss a contract negotiation strategically about a popular player and just don't say, well, give him the money, then there's a lot of blowback because people like Chris Jones, and they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl game itself without it.
There's blowback? Really? I didn't realize that.
I know it. No, I know you realize that, and I realize it. And I don't have any. I don't even begrudge the guy, but
I don't either.
Let's just not. Fans think way too much that these guys really love the old hometown squad, and not that they, completely don't care, but not nearly as much as fans think. And this isn't the old alma mater. It's professional sports. And, the team players play for so many different teams now. The NFL is probably the best example of guys who actually play for a while on one team. Other sports, my God. I mean, baseball, you're locked in at first, but then how many guys will play for 6, 7, 8 more teams the rest of their career? Look at soccer. You brought it up before.
The part that I guess it's my own. Like he turned down. I'm not guessing at this, people. He turned down 6 for $100.
Right. I think he feels like he should be like
Aaron Donald is
not,
the name
right.
that was being thrown around as to what he was asking for. And he's not Aaron Donald.
No.
This year, he was 5 players behind Aaron Donald in the Pro Football Focus grades. Last year, 7 behind him. Year before that, 7 behind him. The year before that, 34 behind him at just D tackle. Let's put this into perspective. How important is the defensive tackle?
Well, I think he's able to play on the fact that in the highest profile game, he made big defensive tackle plays that really could well have won the game for them. A couple of those passes are completed that he bats down, and the Chiefs aren't world champions, period.
I bristle at that. He did not bat down a pass up 4 with the Niners knocking.
He batted down the pass when yeah, he did.
No, the one he batted down, they were already up, right?
I think he had another.
It's when they were coming back to try to.
They had lost
the lead.
I think they had another deflection that was important on a pass. I
remember when
they were ahead.
The Chiefs were ahead, and so. But
anyway.
Listen, he made big plays. I don't really want to get into that because I don't think that matters.
But the defensive tackle is not one of the. It's not quarterback. It's not cover corner. It's not rush the passer, although he rushes the passer better than most defensive tackles. But like you said, 9 sacks is a real nice total for a defensive tackle, but it's 9 sacks. It's not 15. It's not 18. It's not 22. So, he's a very good player. But if he wants to be paid like the very best player, then I think he's barking up the wrong tree. He has a bit of an overinflated. You can tell that he really thinks he's great in a lovable way,
and he is.
And he's also just 26.
Yeah,
and turned 20.
Here's the disconnect that I find funny. Like let's talk about 6 and 8 called in, right? And love him, great fan, love talking to him, always thoughtful in what he says. But he detailed how Frank Clark. If you didn't trade for Frank Clark and pay him, you could have had Shaq Barrett, and he had a list of like 3 guys that you could add. And he said, which would you have been better? Well, isn't that the same thing with Chris Jones, though? Right? That's what I don't get. It's like, I'm Team Chris Jones this year, so I'm going to bash somebody else. But that's my logic. I happen to agree. I think they overpaid for Frank Clark, but it paid off. The 2 of them together culminated in a championship. They won the Titan game without him, or the Texan game without Chris Jones.
Right.
And then whatever percentage he was at for the Titan game, and then he was closer to 100%, and they needed him in the Niner game. He definitely helped. Could they have won without him? I don't know. Maybe. Could they have won without Frank Clark? I don't know. Maybe. Could they have won without Patrick Mahomes? God, no. Absolutely not.
Right.
So that is like when these things get connected, and it's like Patrick Mahomes needs to take less money to keep Chris Jones. Shut your mouth. You offer Chris Jones less to keep Patrick Mahomes. That is a sacred cow that shall not be touched. Don't even look over there. Shut up and go away. Let that deal happen.
The other thing that's playing against Chris Jones is just what you're talking about. The deal with Patrick Mahomes is not done yet. There is uncertainty there. They don't know exactly how high they're going to have to go with Patrick Mahomes. They know it's high. They know it's real high.
I agree.
So they haven't got that information, and maybe they'll have it after they franchise him and have one more year to figure out the contract extension for Patrick Mahomes. That's another thing playing against Chris Jones, and you got to realize that. Until that's done, they really don't know what kind of budget they have. Maybe Mahomes will do a bit of the Tom Brady. I doubt it, but or be creative with it. Who knows? Maybe it won't be as expensive as the Chiefs anticipate to extend him. And then maybe they say, okay, we got enough for Chris Jones. But they don't know that now.
We'll take a break. Danny Clinkscale's with us. He's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Find them online at eastonroofing.com or just give them a call, 913-257-5426, before those spring storms are doing damage to your roof. Maybe it's already damaged. Have Joe and his team get up there and take a look. eastonroofing.com or call 913-257-5426.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, you know, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is Where Integrity Matters. Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
On this date in 1959, the Cardinals, the Chicago Cardinals,
That's right,
traded running back Ollie Matson to the Los Angeles Rams. How many players did the Cardinals get in return?
9,
it
wasn't
was
it?
a lot. It was a whole lot. 7 pops into my mind, but I think that's Herschel Walker's
I think it was 9.
number. Maybe it was. It might have been double figures even. 11?
9.
9. There you go.
9.
God, if somebody just said that.
I know you got it right.
I knew the. I remember it. It's 9. There was an NFL Films thing where they talk about traded for 9 players.
Do you recognize? Do you have the names?
They're not recognizable.
No.
I've read them. They're not recognizable.
You're like, who? What? When? Who?
By the way, playing for Good Sense there, you can get your order in right now if you want to take it home for dinner tonight. Go to goodsensesubs.com. You can pick the time. In fact, you can even save your order. It's just a handful of clicks, and my entire family is having some Good Sense subs on the way home. Don't forget about the pastas as well. Big fan of the Good Sense pastas. Go to goodsensesubs.com. Get the app on your phone and make sure you're signed up for the loyalty program. You get 10% back every time you spend $18 today. You get $1.80 off the next time. It's kept right there under your phone number or on your phone on your app. It is a great, best rewards program around. Good Sense. Go there today. Danny Clinkscale brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. Danny, Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Oh, the brawl that decided all.
The war at the shore.
It's really hard to sum it up.
The Thrilla in Manhattan, or something.
Well, yeah. It will be a remarkable thing if this is a game and, there's excitement in case, for instance, if Kansas State were to pull an upset. I mean, it did come out, that would be completely out of absolute nowhere. But it's hard to think that a team that's just routinely getting just ripped apart.
There's no upset coming.
All right, the last Sunflower Showdown.
The last time they played on their home court, Texas was down 3 starters, including Jericho Sims, and they got run off the floor. So they look like they've just, unfortunately, it's the worst thing you can say about a team, or the worst thing that a coach has to experience. But they look like they've just quit.
But we've seen it. It's happened before, though, to Bruce Weber. He ran off the Marcus Foster bunch.
Right. But this,
Cardier-Jana doesn't look like he's buying in.
No, I will say that the younger guys do look like they're buying in, but they're not really showing on the court. The last couple games, the best players have been, McCall Mayween and Xavier Sneed, and they're not going to be there. So the recruiting class is supposed to be good. It's... he's just, unfortunately, what this season has done is create a scenario where he could go right back onto a warm seat next year, which you figured, even a middling season after winning a share of the conference title.
The year after you went to the Elite Eight.
Right. Even that, you just have a half-baked season and you're okay.
Right.
You're really. But now, they've been so bad this year that. And he seems to have lost the team so much. He's even given up. This is how much he's lost the team. He's usually really pointed in his comments about his, team after a loss. He's kind of soft-pedaled that now on purpose. To me, he's just like, well, these guys are so.
Why do you think that is?
These guys are so downtrodden that why bother kicking them while they're down? Or maybe he thinks he just can't reach them. So what's the point of saying constructive things?
So what do you think 3 years from now? What do we see with Bruce Weber?
I was of the similar opinion to you that it wasn't going to really work. That it was going to. He was going.
You mean originally?
Yeah, I thought he would be okay. But that he would constantly be a bubble type team,
right?
And I had gotten to the point where I gave him a little more credit than that. But this season's gone a long way in the other direction. I mean, did have some returning parts, and the young players were supposed to be promising.
Well, Xavier Sneed is one of the best recruits he's ever had, right? I mean, from a Stars standpoint.
Right, and he's been disappointing. I mean, he's been a little bit better of late, but overall, when they've lost this year, early on when they were losing, he was having bad games and they were losing. He was scoring 6 points or whatever. So has been in every way. His veteran players haven't taken the step forward you would hoped. With one of them, he had a public clash. The guy seems to have completely gone in the. He looks like an uncoached player.
Right.
And then the young players are only showing marginal promise. I mean, I think the young Missouri players, although most of them are sophomores, not freshmen, are showing a little bit more, especially of late, than the Kansas State players are.
The league's a little easier.
The Big 12's easier, yeah.
No, the SEC, according to KenPom, the lower-rated teams are in the SEC. If you buy KenPom,
well, there's more teams, so I guess maybe there's a couple more bad teams. But this Big 12,
because when we had this question,
Big 12's down,
like six or 8 games ago, so 3-4 weeks ago, the worst team left on K-State's schedule was like 75, and that was Texas. And Missouri had, I think, 4 over 100 on the KenPom.
I'm just saying that maybe because nobody's having disastrous, but there's only 2 good teams in the league, to me.
Truly good teams. I mean, Texas Tech's pretty good, but they're not in the level of the other.
How many good teams are there in the country?
Good?
Well, I'm just trying to assess your definition of good.
Yeah.
Because somebody be like, well, Kansas is a great team. If you're saying good, are you going to? Is good going to be there's 5 teams?
I don't even think.
Or there's 20 teams.
I think there's 15 to 18 good teams.
Yeah,
good. That's good.
That's fine.
It depends on your definition of good.
Well, that's what I just asked you.
For instance,
I asked you to define it.
Yeah, but I don't. There's only 2 ranked. Texas Tech lost the other day, so there's only 2. There'll be only 2 ranked teams. I'd say ranked teams are good teams.
Well,
and the Big 12 has only 2 of them.
Except for the riffraff that's down around Texas Tech, they're all losing too.
I know.
Michigan State's got to play at Maryland, Iowa, and Penn State are playing. I mean, all those teams in and around them are all running into each other as well. So,
I guess if
I
you
get
want
your point. If you want to say that, like, hey, how many teams in this league do we think are a threat to go to the Final Four? We'd say 2.
Right.
Right.
And so it's more damning for Kansas State because there's not
a down
4
year
or 5 powerhouse
yes.
teams out there, and they're still losing every game.
I agree. It's way worse than anyone thought it would be. Even if you thought they were actually going to be last, you didn't think they were being more than doubled up when Baylor quit, given an effort.
Right. Oh yeah.
I mean, it was awful.
At one point, it was 50 to 22.
This was the landscape for K-State coming in. They were picked 9th, right? They were picked 9th, I believe.
10th, I think.
9th or 10th, whatever it was. But I had come to the feeling of, Bruce Weber will do better than that.
Yeah, he'll do 7th. That's what he'll do.
He'll do better than that. He'll make that team. That team, I wouldn't be stunned if they rose up and finished 5th.
Yeah, I thought we'd be looking at this Kansas game going, if they beat Kansas. Like, I thought they'd be on the outside looking in, but we'd be like, if they can find a way to beat Kansas, they got to, and then get a win in Kansas City,
right?
Or get a couple of wins in Kansas City,
right?
Then they got a shot. That's what I thought this season would be, and They could beat Kansas by 50, and they're not going anywhere.
Right. I mean, those 2 extra tournaments, do they still exist?
The NIT?
No, the NIT exists, but those 2 other ones still, I think they still are in.
Yeah, the College Basketball Invitational or CBI or
CBI Insider or whatever it is. Some of the most anonymous sporting events in the history of sporting events?
Yes.
K-State 9th.
Does anybody even know that
TCU was 10th?
Does anybody even know that the CBI plays a best of 3 for the title? Which is kind of a
I did not know that.
The only reason I know anything like that is because I have a friend in Vegas who they do a high dollar thing where they draft teams, and it's all it is about the most wins during the season. And then along the way, you're required to every game counts.
Every game counts.
So they project the NIT and the CBI.
And then there's one other one. I don't know. I can't remember the name of that one.
All those count, and so that's the only reason I know it. Because every year it's coming down, and you're required to make, I think it's something like 2,000 or 5,000. It's a heavy hitter thing in side bets. So you got there's 8 of them, I think, that pick all these teams, and they got to sit there making side bets. There, you've got to have a minimum of either 2,000 or 5,000 in side bets. So you can go I've got Kansas and you've got Duke. I go, hey, I'll go all 2,000. KU has a better record than Duke. Okay. Or you can be like, hey, 200 that KU's better than Duke, and 500 that Missouri's better than, Iowa State, and different things like that are part of the deal. By the way, TCU picked 10th, and they are currently in 7th. So they're actually outperforming their prediction.
And for a while there, they were seriously outperforming.
Yeah, when they were 4-1, having played nobody. But yeah, I think the year has gone so bad, and I think the hopes for next year are so low.
Yeah,
that if he doesn't come out really surprising next year, that we are back to is Bruce the guy. And I thought we had finally, with Elite Eight to league title, we had put that to bed. This is him.
Me too.
And I don't think we're there now, but you can see it again.
No.
We're shocked that we can see it.
Like I said, if they finish 6th or 7th in the league this year, next year, no warm seat. They could finish 6th and 7th again.
Yes.
Next year, if they go out and finish 7th after this, that seat's hot.
I don't know, because it's at least, it's progress.
I guess whatever the way the 7th was created, they finished 7th and they beat Kansas on their home court or something, and their freshmen, they have 2 freshmen who are averaging in double figures or something like that.
Who are they moving in front of next year?
Oh, it's hard. I mean, their recruiting class is supposed to be their best ever, but still.
But it's the kind of kids. I think it's 4 threes and a 4-star. It's the kind of kids that you're like, probably a year.
They're not going to be coming
second year.
Right. I guess a lot will depend on the guys for this year who have shown various levels of promise at time, like Sloan, whether they actually can play.
I think if he goes 6-12 next year, if Snead will be gone and they run off Jada, which most people think is going to happen, or he runs off.
He just goes to play pro
either way
ball somewhere.
And you're running all freshmen and sophomores out there, and you go 6-12 with some tough losses against some of the good teams. Then I think he's back in the good graces, because it's like, hey, everybody's back. So I don't think it's quite as gloomy as it may look, because I do know everybody I know that follows K-State keeps telling me about this recruiting class. They just love this recruiting class. I'm like, okay. Well, right. But K-State recruiting classes, usually they're not Kentucky classes where it's like, here we go. Wait, we're fighting for a 3 seed. They're like, okay, in their 3rd year, they'll be really good players.
Right, although the guys who became, like Dean Wade was good. Right?
They weren't in the tournament, Dean Wade's freshman year.
No, I didn't say it, but he was
That's
good.
my point.
He was, if they show that kind of Dean Wade promise and they're not in the tournament, I agreed. Yes,
that's what I think. That's what K-State fans are expecting. So if that class comes in next year and they're bitching and moaning and showing up Bruce Weber and missing dunks to stick it to him, or
if they're just not very good,
or they're just not very good, then they're going to be abandoning ship in droves. Let's talk about the Kansas side of it next with Danny Klinkscale. He's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker of Easton Roofing. And Joe, oftentimes people will wait to replace their roof until there is a weather event. What should they know about that?
Well, Danny, the important thing to remember is if you're going to turn in a claim to your insurance company, you want to make sure that you actually have damage on your home. If you turn in a claim to your insurance company and they send an insurance adjuster out, it's going to be a claim whether they give you $1 or $10,000. So it's important to make sure that you actually have damage on your home before you turn that claim in. And all you have to do is give us a call. We'll come out, take a look, and make sure there's real damage, and we'll tell you if there's not. Maybe it's just a small repair and it's not worth a claim. So it's always smart to get somebody you trust to make sure there's damage before you turn in a claim.
Quality advice and guidance from Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
You're listening to the program on Sports Radio 810 WHP. Danny Unleashed, Danny Klinkskill with us, proudly brought to you by Easton Roofing. Integrity, it matters. You can find Easton Roofing, online at eastonroofing.com or call Joe and the crew, 913-257-5426. The ice up on your roof can cause some damage. And when those big storms blow in, it's going to be rough. If you've been putting off getting that new roof, call Joe and the guys right now at 913-257-5426. In fact, you never pay until you're 100% satisfied. Credit cards, PayPal, that's accepted as well at 913-257-5426. Easton Roofing, integrity matters. Jayhawks are the number one team in the country. They've earned that.
They have. And they are peaking.
And they're shooting better from outside.
They are.
They're not a great shooting team, but they've reached the level of looking like, at least from, I'm not saying they're as good because I do think this is a down year in college basketball, and they're not as good as some of their previous additions, but they don't have to beat anybody from previous years.
Right.
And they're now shooting at the percentages that Kentucky did in 12, that Carolina did 17.
Yes, 17.
In 17, which were some of the lower, three-point shooting teams out there. They've got enough guys. One of the guys that's not, just kind of is kind of getting hot each time. And out of Moss and Brown, one of those two seems to be hitting. The other night, both of them were. And I think they've done a good job of getting better looks. They're taking a higher volume of three-point shots.
That was the thing that was kind of disturbing for a while. It wasn't just that they weren't making that many. That was like routinely they would go 3 for 11 or 4 for 13. They just weren't taking hardly any. And you still want to give it to a guy who's shooting 80% plenty. And also they've gotten better they're just running better offense. I mean, they're, the most important game of the year, and one thing they struggled with is feeding Azubuike, and that was
because they don't ask Dotson to do it anymore.
Right.
I mean, he's not good at it.
No, he's not. And they give the ball. They really play Garrett more
at
like
the point, and Dotson off the ball.
And so just typical Bill Self adjustments, and I think he goes into a season, and he did this year. I think in his heart of hearts he wanted to play two bigs, and I think he wishes that had worked, but he's not stupid enough to just he's not stubborn enough to just try to pound away at it. And I'm sure McCormick doesn't like the fact that he's truly a backup. Of course, then in the biggest game of the year, he goes out and fouls out in 4 minutes or whatever it was.
Right.
But, it was an absolute joke. Scott Drew just unfortunately got pantsed in that game. His guys you can't get dunked on that often. I don't care how big you are. It was just like, oh, we're making a little run here. Dunk, 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 dunk.
Yeah, I said I couldn't remember the last time I saw a guy that just he could dunk whenever he wanted to. It's like he's a dad out in the driveway.
He scored 7 baskets.
Yeah,
and I think it was
not
every
20.
One. Was every one
he didn't
a dunk?
Go for 40. I think they were.
Yeah, I think so.
And they were at key moments. They
yes.
were. It was like every time Baylor's. They're making a little. I never saw, a game that was actually in the hat at the end that Baylor had a chance to tie with a 3 that one team really controlled so much. We usually say, oh, they lost by 12, but it wasn't nearly that close. This one, Kansas won by 3, but it wasn't nearly that close. It was sort of the opposite version of that. They really had control of that game all day long. And that would have been outright an outright Brinks job if Baylor had, hit the three at the end and won in overtime. And Bill Self didn't foul. I mean, he's played that both ways, so you really don't know what he's going to do.
Predicting how far they will go in the NCAA tournament is a fool's errand, and you might get it right here or there, but it doesn't mean you knew exactly what it's going to be. Matchups, how they play that day, all that kind of stuff. But,
I mean, they still are capable of going out there and going 3 for 17.
Yeah, of course. But so what does it feel like to you? Does it feel like they're going to Atlanta?
A month ago, I would have said that
Sweet
the
16
team
loss
has too many flaws in it. Now I would be it would be an upset for them not to be at the Final Four. I think that would truly be disappointing. Now things can happen. They've had several seasons where right at this time of year somebody important got hurt.
They've had a lot of those.
They've
seasons,
had a lot of those years.
And Embiid and
other players like
Lucas went down.
It says here on Twitter that Doak ran into Dotson in practice, and they both.
I mean, that's happened.
Each has a fractured leg.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
So you have to hope that doesn't happen. But if they don't get a significant injury, their form seems so good right now that it would be a true upset. To me, they're the deserved number one team. That team doesn't make it to the Final Four. That's disappointing.
Danny, you're the man. We appreciate it. Go have fun at poker. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. DannyClinkskill.com.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Klink Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klink Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.